It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this is it, the final week in Season 3 and your only shot to get the SHMEE150 Zenvo TSR-S. Let's go! Real quick before we get into it, if you're looking for any of my Motorfest tunes, you can go to militiagamingco.com, click on builds, and you'll go directly to the tunes app that has all of my tunes in it, and there's a few others from other people in the community, so enjoy. All right, let's get into it. So the cars you're going to need for this summit are, starting with the summit bundle, the Ferrari SF90 Stradale and the Ford GT, and you're really only going to need one additional vehicle plus a plane. I recommend using the Agera R for all of the escapes, and one of the escapes we use a plane to like drop into it just to get enough speed. Anyways, we'll show you that later in the video. The keys to this summit are the traffic that you have in the escape. You cannot get frustrated with that, and control of your car. Now there are a few shortcuts in this summit, however controlling the car is much more important than driving it super fast and losing control. I know that's always the case, but in particular these races are very easy to overdrive, and that's what I'm referencing. If you just work on controlling the car, going through the gutters, that's really where you're going to get the better times. So anyways, let's get into the pro settings for those three cars, and then we'll get into the events. All right, this first event is called Freak Out at My Zenvo TSR-S. And believe it or not, that is the shortest name of the events in this summit. All right, anyways, there is not a whole lot to this event. This is going to require a lot from your driving skills. However, there are a few sections of this course that are important to nail. One is this turn at 8%. I did okay, but you gotta hook that gutter. If you don't hook the gutter, you're gonna be in the wall. It definitely hurts your chances of getting a good time. Same with this one at 14%. All right, let's fast forward. There's a few others. This one here at 44%, it's important to get at least one wheel in the gutter. If you don't, or you don't slow down, you're gonna end up in the trees on the right. Now this corner coming up here at 64%, also very important. Heavy downshift and braking, hit that gutter. If you don't hit that gutter, it's really gonna hurt your chances of getting a good speed. A good speed, a good time. Definitely a good time. Also, don't do what I just did there and lose control. Do it better than that. Now at this time, at 75%, you'll notice I have a completely full tank of NOS. It's important because you have a long straight coming up directly after this turn, and you just went through a fairly slow section where you're not really going to be using NOS. Stay off the NOS in those slow sections. Use the best lines you can possibly use in those sections, and don't use NOS accelerating out of it, because you want the NOS on this straight section. Now also note that I'm not using the entire bottle of NOS because you're gonna have to brake for this corner anyways. So use enough of it to where when you get out of this corner, you have some NOS for the final. Once you're done with that corner, it's NOS to the finish line, even on this turn, because, well, the race is basically over. And that's it. All right, this next event is called It's Here, Ferrari Hypercar First Drive. Now this is just legendary versus rivalry. This is a test course that I use for certain cars. This is all about guttering, and this SF90 is going to be your best bet in terms of Ferrari hypercars. Every single corner, basically, with the exception of a couple of resets, is going to be a gutter turn. So just learn how to gutter. It's really important. I do recommend starting the gutter as early as possible, and also being in a gear higher than you normally would be. So notice in this one, I get into the gutter fine, but I'm going way too fast. Try to avoid that if you can. Just start a little slow, use the throttle to get through it. That was a slow gutter, but it would have been faster than if I had just taken it normally. The gutters are going to help you in this race. Now there are a couple of cuts, one of which is coming up over here. Let me see if it's after this turn, I believe. I did this one terribly. Don't mind that gutter. Turn left before the flag. Go up the hill towards the next checkpoint, NOS over it, and reset. Now, you're going to be doing a bunch of resets, I think 3 in a row. On this corner, you're going to reset. On the following corner, you're going to reset so that you can go full blast into it. And then one more time on this corner. Reset. The rest of it is just gutters. There is a cut here at 69%. You'll cut across the grass, go to the left of the flag, and go across the bridge. Then when you get across the bridge, cut across the grass again. And then you can kind of blast your NOS, get it up over 200 miles per hour, but control your speed. This turn actually is kind of deceiving because it sharpens up at the end. I almost hit that brick wall. It's wild. And then try to control speed here. I almost threw this run away. I went way too fast into the ending there, and that cost me at least a second. NOS to the finish, and you're good to go. All right, this next event is called the brand new Ferrari SF90 Stradale. This one is a lapped race, so we're going to go through a full lap. I'll give you some live commentary on the whole lap. So this first turn, it's very important to go ahead and grab this gutter. The first lap, maybe not so much, but the second and third lap, important. Grab that gutter. On this turn, same thing. You're going to want to hit the gutter as much as you can. Now, Shmee actually is pretty fast on this first lap, so I think it's because I have my difficulty way up. It's nice because he gave me a nice little tow. Going into this one, it's a 5th gear turn. Grab the gutter. I did it a little bit slow on this lap, but I didn't do it much better on laps 2 and 3, so I decided to show you this one. Again, grab the gutter, accelerate out with NOS. Now, this part you can go pretty fast, but get ready to brake on this corner. This is a very important gutter. In fact, I'm going to go back just a little. What you should be aiming for to hit this gutter correctly is starting from the left side by the wall. When you cut in, your goal is to hit the flag with the center of your car. So notice this is where you should be, because it hooks you into this gutter and it puts you directly on the right path coming out of it. Beautiful. Nothing tricky with these corners. You really don't have to gutter that. You can gutter this one. You need to, for sure. Again, this track is all about control. So what I talked about earlier in the intro, it's extremely important. Here's lap 2 on this turn. See how you gutter this one? Otherwise, you end up in that brick wall, and that's going to really slow you down. Control is super important on this track. This car can outdrive this track. It's not a really good match for a hypercar. In fact, I think this is a hypercar race, but I just don't feel like this track is designed well for hypercars because there's a lot of sections where you can way overdrive it because of how quick the hypercars really are. So it takes a lot of control. Try not to overdrive the track. That's my best advice. So anyways, let's move on. All right, this next event is called Shmee Special over 200 miles per hour with my hypercar. And for this one, we're going to be using the Agera R. There are quite a few like shortcuts and little tips and tricks for this one. So we're going to fast forward. We're just going to skip to the places where I know is tricky. So here we go. All right, this turn at 14%, which is right over the bridge. You're going to want to cut this corner or use the gutter. You have to do one of the two. Otherwise, you will for sure end up in the houses on the right. I cut it a little bit so that I can stay on. You probably can take it faster if you nail the gutter. But anyway, the choice is yours on that one. Now, for this up here, there's a SimG skip right after this checkpoint at 22. Jump the rock. Now this is important. I actually had to adjust my car in the air. I don't know if you guys noticed this. If you have a hard time with this skip, sometimes it's hard to line it up because you're kind of blind. See how you're like going into this blind, you don't really know where it is. First of all, this flag right here, this pole, you're gonna go just to the right of that. But if for some reason the car ends up like this, where it's pointing off to the right and not at the checkpoint, also notice right here, there's the road. That's where you wanna go. So mid-air adjustment. See how I turn the car? Now I'm pointing directly where I want to go. And right when I hit, I'm using NOS. 255 coming out of that. It's great. It's a very, very fast shortcut right there. It stops you from having to take that left-hand corner. Saves you a bunch of time. Now on this one, you can cut this flag super wide. Look how wide I was. Not even close to the checkpoint at all. Still gave it to me. At this right-hander, I drift it. And then we get back on the throttle. Caught this corner here, 36%. And then the corner here with the airplane. Airplane is your visual cue. You're going to go in between these two big trees. Right across. back on the road. Next cut is here at 63%. I go between these trees. Could have went to the right of that large tree as well. After that, there's a couple of corner cuts, and then you're home free right here at 87%. No trees, very clean, easy. This next one, I hit a few trees, try to avoid them, but you can cut this corner as well. You probably don't need to actually in the Agera, but you know, figure out which way works best for you. I think cutting is probably the safer bet. And that's it. All right, the next event is called Insane USA Hypercars in Hawaii, and for this one, I'm using the Ford GT. It happens to be the best USA hypercar, and we're going to use it in the next event anyway as well. So not a whole lot tricky to the start, but there's tons of corner cuts on this one, and they're kind of obvious, so I don't think you'll miss them, but I'm going to go over them just in case. Let's fast forward. The first one here is at 15%. Cut after that big tree. I went a little bit wide on that one. Could have cut it in a little bit harder. Then here at 31%, just cut it a little bit. Not a big one, but important nonetheless. Again here at 35%. Again here at 37%, and then try to control your speed. I was a little bit out of control for this one here. Now the following corner, also going to cut before that big tree. The less stuff you hit, the better. I hit a bunch of stuff. That corner was actually pretty clean. Let's go back real quick. The only thing I hit was the bench between the tree and the light post. That's what you want to do. And then this corner again at 50%. And then you're going to cut this one again at 58%. Lots of corner cuts on this one. You're going to have to control speed going through here. Cut this corner, go along the brick wall. Try not to lose control. Okay. Obviously, I didn't mean to spin out right there, but this path is the best way you want to go. It's going to be right through here, along this brick wall. The car lost it on the dirt a little bit, but it shouldn't. So if I was in a little bit higher of a gear, maybe 6th gear going through here, probably wouldn't have lasted. Anyways, through here, I saved it. Still made the turn, almost hit the wall. Obviously, that could be improved. And the last thing is this right-hand turn, very easy to overshoot it. Slow down, get into 6th, grab a little bit of that gutter, and then you're home free, NOS to the finish. All right, and the last event is called It's All Over. The final Ford GT is here. This actually is just staying ahead. It's one of my test courses that I do for the racing category. It's a little bit different in hyper. You have to control your speed a little bit better than you do in racing. But anyway, still the same course. So there's a few tricky spots in this one. I'm going to try to highlight them, and then we can go to the feats and move on. The first thing though is you need to use your NOS very specifically in this course, because if you're on the NOS a lot, you're not going to be able to take advantage of some of the longer straights where you need a lot of NOS to get you going. So for this turn right here, this is a downshift and brake turn at 17%. You absolutely want to be in the gutter on this turn. I just barely nicked it, and it was enough to keep me on the road. Now see, I'm not really using a lot of NOS here. It's because we have a sharp left-hander coming up, followed by a sharp right-hander. We don't really need the NOS there. We need it after these turns. So sharp left there. This is a gutter turn. Make sure you're in the gutter on this one. And then you're going to use NOS here. Use it sparingly. Get into your top gear, and then blast it up this hill, because a lot of cars bog down on that hill. Then wait until the downhill section here. Use your NOS again to get the top speed. See, this is going to keep your NOS at its maximum capacity most of the race. Now, this is sort of a question mark. In racing, I usually hit this gutter and it puts me on the right track. In hypercar, we're going a lot faster than you are in racing. So I chose to cut this corner, and it kind of throws you off the hill, which made me lose a little bit of control. Now, had I been able to control that and I didn't go so far to the right, that actually would have been a nice option. However, in this particular run, I think it probably hurt me a little bit. Now, when you clear this at 58%, you're going to use your NOS to get back into the 280s. Make sure at top speed for this entire straight. Notice how high the NOS bar is right now. Now, this one is much better if you do gutter it. I missed it just a little bit. but you can definitely improve that. This run is certainly not optimized. Control speed going through here. Don't get over anxious to accelerate too fast there. When you get to this section, you clear that crest of that hill, then you can NOS back up to top speed. Again, look at, I'm letting the NOS recover. I'm not worried about using a ton of NOS every 3 seconds. Now I chose to make a cut here. You don't have to, but it does allow you to go full speed into this section rather than braking. The left-hander is actually pretty sharp. If you can hit the gutter, it's probably faster overall. However, if you have a trouble with that, then you might want to just cut straight across the grass. Just make sure you have a full tank of NOS when doing so. Now this one actually messed me up because I ended up in the grass on the other side. I lost a little bit of control going through there with the NOS and had to cut the NOS short. If you can blast right through that, that's your best option. All right, lastly, we've got the escapes. This is the first one. I do recommend dropping in with a plane on this because it does give you a lot more speed. If you're going along this highway section in a car and you have to make that hard right-hander, you're not going to have speed coming out of it. So this allows you to get over 100 miles per hour pretty much right off the bat, and it definitely makes a big difference. So start off with a plane, switch to a car, make sure you land in the circle, and then just start going. All you need to do is drive this entire highway until you get to the end without hitting anything. Don't hit any traffic. I would say even if you're driving semi-slow, without hitting traffic, you're going to get a much farther distance. But there is one trick at the end of this that you can do. I'll fast forward. I did not do the trick because, I don't know, I just was out of control at the end. So basically, when you get to here, you can just go straight. Go straight in through the sand, jump over into the water, and just switch while you're jumping, switch into a boat, and then take off in the boat. That's basically what you want to do. You'll get a little bit extra distance, but if you get to here, let's say you just get to here and you just go straight on the sand, you're going to get a farther distance than I got because I chose to do this nonsense for some reason and ended up like right here at this rock. So 61, and for 61 you get 113,000 points. It is what it is. All right, for escape number 2, I recommend doing it the opposite way that you would normally go. Get enough speed to go through here, start the escape, and NOS all the way. You want to get to top speed as soon as possible on this one. That hill is notorious for having traffic in it. Try to stay in the middle of the lane. Now the path is this. Drive this all the way down until it curves on its own. Watch out for traffic, obviously. Then you're going to see on your mini map, there's nowhere else for you to go here. You're going to make a right. You're going to have to control your speed. It's not a full speed turn. Then you're going to make your next left, like immediately. And that's pretty much it. And just follow that around. Actually, there is one other tricky spot. It's coming up over here. You go through an alley as opposed to following the road. Right here, straight through this alley and make a left. That's really it. Then you just follow this street until the circle catches you. All right, the last escape, you're going to go in the opposite direction again. Now, if you were watching my stream, there is a crazy jump thing that you can do where you jump over a bunch of trees and then you jump again and you land on a highway and then you can keep going on the highway. It's a ridiculous strategy because it's so hard to hit, and the place where you need to land is like between two really, it's a really small gap that you need to land into. So it's just not recommended for basically everyone watching the video. I feel like this route that I'm about to show you is going to be the best route for you. Let me fast forward. All right, so you've gone back, turned around, you're going to go with the opposite direction. And just try to keep as much speed as you can. Obviously, traffic is going to be, an important factor here. So if you're struggling with traffic, I recommend going a little bit slower just to avoid the traffic because you're going to get a farther distance. Just stay on this road basically the entire time. You're going to follow it around. This is a tight corner across the bridge there. And then after that, it's just, NOS and stay with it. Obviously make a right there. Oh my god, the traffic on this clip is crazy. Now, at the very end of this, if you do get there, You can actually jump onto the highway at the end, but you know, it's not necessarily something that every player is going to be doing. You can see on the mini map we're getting close to the highway. Right here is where it connects, just like it is in the grand races, and then you can get going from here. Obviously I didn't really hit that smoothly, so the red circle caught me fairly shortly after this, but I believe I hit 8,000. Yeah, it's plenty of distance. That gets you 149,000 points. It's all good. All right, here are my final scores. Again, if you have any questions about anything, you can send me a DM on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. You can DM me with any question you might have. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this helps, and I hope everyone out there gets the Shmee Zenvo, and I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.